Hey, everybody. Hey, we're getting ready for Chattanooga. We're about 9 to 10 days out, and there's lots of stuff I want to go over with you, just to make sure that you've that you've got some good planning. Um, we don't make any mistakes in this taper. There's a lot of stuff that, you've done some great training up to this point. Life's happened. We've had some little nicks going on. We've had some delays in training. We've had conflicts of schedule where you've missed workouts, where things just haven't been perfect. Welcome to life, right? Welcome to training. You've done a great job. You've gotten yourself to 10 days out. We're entering the taper. What you've got some mistakes that I've seen. I want to go over here in the taper. Some of the mistakes that I've seen is that people feel like they've got a cram in the last week. They didn't get in long enough running, or they didn't feel like they were fast enough, or they need a really long swim, or they need whatever those pieces are. Your fitness is your fitness. Some of the things that you can do most for yourself right now is accept that. Know what that is. I want to go faster. I want to have a PR. I want to have all that stuff is baggage right now that's going to slow you down and set you up for failure. Okay. You know what your paces are. You know what you've trained at. You know what's realistic. That's where in the next week, 10 days, we're out from that space. That's where you need to start setting your mind of here's what you're going to have on race day. Okay. So let's start there with that sort of training. So if you've been out training and you have gotten up close to your mileage, you've gotten up at your intensity, you've either been using heart rate or RPE or watts on your bike, or you've been using pace, you've been using heart rate, you've been using RPE on your swims and your runs, that kind of stuff. You know what you can do in those sports individually. You've had a few bricks. You know what it feels like getting off the bike to start your run. You know that you're not going to be able to go as fast. You're not going to run a half marathon off the bike the same intensity as though you ran your half marathon or your 12-mile runs, that sort of thing. So it all comes down to RPE and getting yourself set up from a mental perspective of what to expect on race day. Okay. Another thing in this taper, your job is not to do, not to, how to phrase this well, not to do everything that's on your training plan just because it's there. Your job in this last 10 days is to get yourself recharged, energized, excited, enthused without being fatigued. Okay. You're carrying fatigue in through here. As you start to go into the taper, you're going to feel energetic, and then you're going to spend that. That's not your job. Your job is to stay fresh and energized going into this race. You want to feel like you're a cage lion, right? I mean, you're just holding back until you get there. Make sure you're eating well, getting plenty of sleep, that you're mitigating your stresses as best you can. You're getting your body recharged. That's your job right now. Your workouts. Should you be having super intense workouts? No, not all the way through. Should you have some intensity to them? Yes. Should they just be aerobic? No, not completely. Having a little bit of surging in some of these workouts, having a little bit of intensity for short bursts helps keep the neuromuscular side of your world energized and going. If you fall back and just do everything super easy and super light, so you take what I said earlier and you're trying to get recharged and you do everything really easy, well, that's too much. You're not going to have any of the power, the snap in your legs when it comes to race day. So there's a balance in here. And I know I'm talking out of both sides, talking about getting recharged, but you also need to have a little bit of snap into some of your workouts, not for, an hour of going out and, doing a tempo, but, for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, getting a little intensity to it, backing off now to that intensity. But overall, you're bringing the intensity down. You're bringing the volumes are obviously coming down. Again, your job is to read your body. And how can you get more energetic, more revived, if you will, through this training taper place? You're also going to start to feel some what I'm gonna call phantom pains. I mean, they're real. I mean, you've got some things that as you start backing off the intensity and volume, your body's going to feel differently. And some of that's going to be interpreted as pain, discomfort. Just listen to it. If you have an Achilles thing that pops up or a muscle strain or something just doesn't feel right, listen to it, treat it appropriately, do your stretching, might modify that workout, whatever you need to do, but just know that it's not real. That come race day, that's going to disappear, and most likely that's not going to be anything that bothers you. Do let me know those things coming on. Let's talk about them. Let's see what they are. But you're going to have some of these things pop up that are just normal in this time of the taper. Don't worry about them. Acknowledge them. Let's talk about them. They're going to go away on race day. Okay, you're going to have a great day. As we get closer, everybody's going to start talking about the weather. Now, what's it going to be like? Is it going to be rainy? Is it going to be windy? How humid is it going to be? How hot is it going to be? All those different things. You're 10 days out. If you look at it right now, it's going to change before we get there. Okay. It's going to change a couple of days before we get there. So look at it, have the theme, be prepared for humidity or wind or rain or whatever it's calling for, but also know that it's probably not going to be that. It's going to be something different. It's going to be a variation of that because we all know how weather goes, right? So be prepared as you're laying in bed and you're getting anxious and trying to figure out what you're going to do. Plan for the different contingencies. You're going to have a problem. You're going to have a negative thought. Have the answer for that negative thought. What is that? Oh, it's going to be rainy all day. What am I going to do? Well, you're going to have a jacket on because it's going to be a little chilly. You want to have some sort of windbreaker on, something that's light, but it's 80 degrees and rainy. It can't be very thick. It can't be something that's going to keep in all the heat. It's going to be 60 degrees and rainy. You need to have something that's a little thicker that's going to keep some warmth in. It's full sun. It's humid. Do you have a cooling towel? Do you have sunscreen? Do you need a hat on the run? What do you need, right? I mean, so start thinking about all those different things that you may come across. You've each done parts of this race before. You've had run races. You might not have had a swim race, but most of you have had a previous triathlon before this. You've had some sort of other experience that you can pull on to talk about or to think about how you would strategize through these things. Some of you veterans, you've done multiple half Ironman events. You know what to expect. Rookies, it's going to be a learning experience. It's when you get there, we can plan for it, but when you get there, you're going to just have to adapt. And you're packing, make sure you've got all the different options that you need. If you forget something, they've got an Ironman Village where you'll be able to buy pretty much whatever you want to buy. They've got stores down there as well. So as you're driving and you realize you've forgotten something, you'll be able to get it down there. Also, one of our teammates might have it that you can borrow, depending on what it is, to help you. Also, we'll talk about those things if in your packing you've forgotten about something. So we've talked about the training, we've talked about taper, we've talked about looking at the weather. With the weather now comes, is it going to be wetsuit legal? I would tell you that plan on it being wetsuit legal. Even on the years that it's been super hot down there, the water temperature in that flowing river, because it comes out of the hills and the I'm gonna call them mountains down there, but Smoky Mountains and so forth, you're going to have some colder water that's coming down. 72 degrees, 74 degrees is probably what the water temperature is going to be. It's well under the 76 for the wetsuit. Predictably, it's going to be wetsuit legal. Now, also have in your mind that it might not be. We're not going to know until we get down there and see what the water temperature is. But don't overthink it. Bring whatever you're going to be wearing wetsuit wise. Something ideally that you've practiced in. So if you haven't been to open water yet, it's a good idea to get out maybe this weekend, maybe early next week. Talk to some of your teammates. There are lakes all around. Many of our teammates live on bodies of water that you can go and try it out. If you can't get in the open water, put your wetsuit on, be in the pool. Make sure you're not swimming for the first time in your wetsuit. one race morning. Realize that there is a difference between pool and river swimming because you can see the bottom in the pool. You're not going to be able to see the bottom. It's going to be dark and murky. It's going to mess with your head a little bit because you can't see down inside there. You don't know what all's down there. You can't see the bottom to see the lane line to follow, that sort of thing. So there's a different mental piece of it that you should practice in an open body water before you get there, or at least remind yourself, some of you veterans, that about what it feels like before you get to race day. Okay, let's talk about nutrition. You've all been practicing, hopefully, your nutrition coming in. We've talked about sodium. We've talked about the calories that you're bringing in, how much water are you bringing in. Hopefully you've practiced that. What's your plan for having that available on T1 when you get out of swim? Because you're half hour, 45 minutes of swim time where you're under. What are you going to do in T1? What's your plan on the bike? How often are you drinking? How much are you drinking? How much sodium? When are you taking your sodium? How many calories do you need per hour? And how are you spreading those out? What foods are you going to use for that? Are you taking it off the course? Have you been practicing with things off the course? Are you carrying it on your bike? How much can you carry on your bike? Can that amount cover you through the entire time that you expect to be on the bike? Do you need to put some stuff in your back pocket? Do you need to stop at an aid station and refill a water bottle? All those things need to be planned out. Just a quick summary of that. Let's say that you need to bring in 500 calories an hour. I'm exaggerating here for most of us. If you need to bring 500 calories in per hour and you're going to eat something every 15 minutes, that means you're bringing in 125 calories every 15 minutes. How are you getting 125 calories? Whatever you're bringing in, divide it by 6 every 10 minutes, divide it by 4 every 15 minutes, divide it by thirds every 20 minutes. Whatever you're doing, same thing with your water, same thing with your sodium. Be consistent in how you're putting that in your body. Ideally, that's how you've been practicing it. If not, you've got a little bit of work to do, and make sure that it's lined up. If you do not do your nutrition early, it's not going to be there for you later. You can't cram it and try to get it back in on the run and expect to have a great run. It'll turn into a walk for sure. Most of you on your run, you're not going to have the run that you would have if you ran a half marathon all by itself anyway. So it's okay to think about walk, jogging, get to the next aid station on the run. Here's where you're going to get your water. How much water are you picking up? If the cups have 4 ounces in them, do you need 4 ounces? You need 8 ounces. You need 6 ounces. How much are you grabbing? If it takes you 10 minutes to get there, if it takes you 12 minutes to get there, okay? 10 minutes, you get 6 of those. Well, every 12 minutes, you can do the math. That's every 5. Or that's 5. You can do it every 12 minutes. So you need to start looking at what your intended pacing is, what your intended speeds are. When are you getting to the next aid station? On the bike, they're 15 miles apart, roughly. How long is it going to take you to get there? If you're going 20 miles an hour, you're going to get to the next aid station 45 minutes. If they're 15 miles apart. If you're going 18 miles an hour, it's going to take you closer to 50 minutes. Okay, 51, 52 minutes in that vicinity. So you just need to have a plan out of what you're going to be doing. And then you've got this plan on race day. If you're slower or faster, or it's hotter, it's something else going on, you have to be able to adapt or adjust on that. But you've got to make sure that you've got that nutrition, that hydration, that sodium content coming into your body consistently. Okay. Now let's talk about race weekend. We've gotten you through the taper. You've got all this planning going on. You've gotten packed. We're down there. Some of you are arriving Thursday. That's great. Some of us are driving down on Friday. That's great. The Athlete Village and Pick Up Your Packet doesn't open until 2 o'clock on Friday. At 2 o'clock, then you can get your packet anytime. I sent out an email through Team Snap about trying to be there at the 4 o'clock time slot, so we all get checked in together. Or at least the majority of us that are there can get checked in. I'd love for us all to be at that same time. Again, it's going to be a fluid thing. travels of what's traffic going to be like. And maybe a few people are late. We have to delay that a little bit so we can all be in the same space in transition. That's great. We don't have to be in the same space. I just think it's pretty cool when the whole team can be right there and we can encourage and see each other and do all those pieces. If that works out, then we've got athlete orientation right there at Ironman Village. There's one at 5. If we can do that one, then we've got all the stuff. We've heard what's going to be going on. We've heard all the updates in terms of the road conditions and what their plans are, what the water temperatures are, all those things that they're going to update horse race weekend. It'd be awesome to have some sort of team dinner to get together. Mark and Ashley have offered, they're doing, like I'm gonna call it a social at the park. We either have plans to have dinner and then go back to the hotels. We could have dinner on our own and then just kind of meet up at the park right there, bring a drink or something and just kind of hang out. Or we just go do your own thing. That's completely up to you. It's what you need to do. I just want to offer an opportunity where we can be social together. We've done all this training. Many of you don't know each other, training in different places, training at different times, that sort of thing. Be an opportunity to get together. That's Friday. Saturday, and we'll do this more in detail as we get closer through the Team Snap app and so forth. But I'd like to have an early morning swim where we'll either do it near the bridges, away from things. Obviously, we'll go across the other side, and there's a dock over there we can get into and just swim around a little bit, so you can get used to the flow of the water. You're not going to swim very far, maybe 400 to 600 yards. Swim upstream a little bit, see what it's like to swim against that current. Turn around and then just fly back down. You get to see how fast you're really going to be doing. On race morning, depending on what they do at the dam, east of the venue and so forth, if they turn the water down coming off the dam, it'll slow down the current. Obviously, if they leave it open, we'll be flying. They've done a bunch of different things over the years. We're not going to know what the speed's going to be until race morning, but we can practice that Saturday. Then those of you that haven't got your packet or so forth, haven't got your bikes organized, you can do that after the swim. Some of you will head back to transition and we'll have a walkthrough, if you will, of swim in, swim out. Sorry, swim out, bike in, bike out, run in, run out, and kind of where things go there in transition, what that looks like for race morning. And have lunch. I'd like to get the bikes in late morning, early afternoon, whatever works for everybody's schedule. We'll talk about that as we're there, and we'll kind of see what everybody wants to do. Again, you don't have to do it at the same time. It's just an opportunity. If we're all there, we get to kind of celebrate, and it's that common support that we can give each other, and that enthusiasm and that excitement. Opportunities. We'll talk about that in detail more. Saturday afternoon and evening, you're going to be on your own. And I say that intentionally in terms of, for me, I want to have an early dinner. And I would encourage most of you to not have too much solid food after about 5 or 6 o'clock. Most of us take about 10 to 12 hours for everything to go through us. And so we do our early morning business and get all that solid stuff out as best we can. If you have a big hearty breakfast in the morning, just know that some of you don't respond well when you have solid foods in you. Sometimes some of you do better when you got liquids, and you don't have to worry about some of the potty breaks and that sort of thing. Read your body, know what you need to do, get off your legs, get fluids in you, start pumping, fluids, making sure you're hydrated the day before. But once we get to about 2 o'clock, you should plan on being on your own, getting off your legs, relaxing back in the hotel, having an early-ish dinner, getting everything set. Taking your bikes to transition, all you need to do is bring your bike on bike check-in. Not your electronics, not your food, not your water bottles, that sort of thing. Just take your bike. race morning, you'll bring everything else down. Your helmet, your shoes, your electronics, your water bottles. They'll have water there in transition, whatever nutrition you're going to need. You'll set up your area just like you would any other triathlon. Bring a towel, put it down, put your stuff on that area, kind of marks your space. It'll be underneath your bike, obviously. Morning bag on race morning, you'll have an opportunity to drop off clothes to pick up afterwards. If you're wearing sandals, that kind of stuff, you can put them in a bag and you'll be given the morning bag. You can drop it off once we get to the swim start, just before you go in the water. That could be anything that you have taken down there. If you've got family joining it, you can hand it to them. But you're going to have options for what you do on race morning in terms of all of those pieces. Once you wake up, so I jumped to race morning a little bit, and I apologize for doing that. But Saturday, you've got your bike in, just get your bike there. Don't worry about everything else. Get off your feet, recover Saturday evening, get whatever sleep you can get. Try not to fret, try not to be anxious, but we know you're going to be. Sunday morning, you wake up, get there early. I like to be there just a little bit after they open. I'll probably be there about 4:45. They open at 4:30. Not because I have to be there that early, because for me, it helps me relax by being there that early. I can get things set up. I can get myself all soothed. If I come in later, I'm rushing around, I'm trying to do everything everybody else is rushing around, and that makes me more anxious. So whatever is best for you in terms of timing, get there for that. I do want to have a group picture before we all get on the bus to head over to the swim start. So make sure you're there. And I think I sent it in the team snap on the itinerary. I don't remember the exact time I talked about. I think I said is either 6 or 6:15, but I don't remember that for sure. But again, as we get closer to the event, we'll have some reminders. We'll have all that communication of trying to get a time that we're all together for that picture. Once you've got your transition set up, you're going to come out of transition. You're going to have your wetsuit, your goggles, don't forget your goggles, your swim cap, and then whatever clothes you're wearing to kind of stay warm. If it's chilly, have a jacket. I mean, have a sweatshirt, have pants on, have socks on perhaps. Keep your feet comfortable. We'll get on the bus. There are buses that are going to drive us 1.4 miles down the road, upriver, and then we'll all get off. If we get on the buses very late, it's going to be so much traffic and so packed and that kind of stuff that it's just really hard to get there. So again, we're going to try to be early so we can get over there. If we get over there if we get over there early and you're like, hey, we're not going to start until 7, why are we going to bus at 6:15? Because you can get over there, get off your feet, rest, relax, start getting your mind right. It's easier to do it over there versus try to relax a little bit, move around a bunch, and then you've got to go over there anyway. So it's really trying to conserve energy as best we can. Once you've gotten over there to the swim start, there's going to be a bunch of signs, a bunch of people gathering around. Obviously, everybody's getting nervous. Somebody will be laughing because that's how they deal with nerves. Other people are going to be just into themselves. Other people get angry when they get frustrated. And so you'll see a scowl on their face, that sort of thing. But you'll see swim times, and you're going to line up accordingly to where you think you're going to get in. If you plan to finish this at 2-minute pace, 1.4, you're going to be about a 50-minute swimmer. So find the sign that's 48 to 52 and get in that area. What's your swim time? What do you expect to do? If in your pool you've been swimming about 2:15 per 100 on that water, maybe you are a 2-minute person. And if you've been swimming in a pool 1:45, you're probably a 1:30 person. Figure it out, plan it out where you want to be. Once you've gotten into the swim, it's downriver. Yeah, go have fun. Keep your head down, swim, do what you do. As you get close to the exit, you're going to get out of the water. There'll be people to help lift you up. There are going to be wetsuit strippers there to, best of my knowledge, there have been in years past, and I'm assuming they're doing the same thing. You'll just get the wetsuit off your shoulders, get down to your hips, lay on the ground. Put your feet in the air, they'll grab your wetsuit, yank it off of you, they'll hand you a hand, they'll lift you up, they'll hand you back your wetsuit, and you sprint up to the transition. There are some stairs there, there's an incline. Expect to work a little bit to get up the stairs. If you are feeling fatigued, just walk up the stairs. I mean, walk up the incline. Great. Celebrate, high fives, give people, there'll be a lot of people yelling and screaming and cheering. Enjoy it. Enjoy the day. Get yourself to your bike. Put your wetsuit down, put your socks on, your shoes on, your sunglasses, grab all your nutrition, excuse me, whatever you plan to do there in T1 to get that going, get your water going, get your whatever you're going to do, get it started. Grab your bike, walk it out, get to the bike mount line. It'll be just west of transition. Get on, take off. People are yelling and screaming. It's fantastic. Once you get on that bike, your first 5 miles, be careful. There's historically has been rough roads through that area. People lost water bottles, lost nutrition. Just be careful. At the same time, because of that, people are going to be swerving because they're going to see a hole at the last minute. And so they're going to swerve. So be on the defensive as you're riding. Once you've gotten to the place, and you'll feel it, it's an overpass. Once you've gotten to the overpass, and I think that's about mile 4, guessing here, about mile 4, roads are much better. You've got a couple little zigzags that you've got to do through the town there. And then you get out on the highway. You're going to, as you're on the highway, this is a false flat for about 10 to 12 miles. It looks like it's flat. You feel like you should be going so much faster than what you are. You feel like you shouldn't be working as hard as you are. It's a false incline. You're going uphill. So just settle back, relax, enjoy the day, ride to the same effort that you've been training at. There are some hills in this first section. And this falls flat, there's some up and downs that break that up. Drop down your small chain, get up the hill, enjoy the downhill. When you get to mile 26, this is Andrews, and everybody's going to talk about Andrews. It's about a 3/4 mile, 12% grade. You don't really get to use any momentum. Look down, your distances. When you get to about mile 26, start looking for a left-hand turn. As soon as you get that left-hand turn, downshift early, just get up that hill, okay? Once you're at the top, you've got about a 2-mile downhill. It's going to be a blast. It'll make up for your speed. You're now heading back into a town called Chickamauga, and it is downhill overall, but you've got some ups and downs that happen, but overall, you're going downhill. And so in this area, you'll be going faster than what you think you were. Just work up the hill, use the momentum to get you downhill, up the next hill, and just keep that going until you get to Chickamauga. At Chickamauga, there's going to be a lot of celebration. That's where they usually have the race announcer comes in and has stuff going on. A lot of people drive out there to see people go through. It's just a fun thing as you're going through that town. Once you get outside of that town, you're going to take a left. You've got 2 inclines to go through, hills, and they're not terrible, but you're going to feel them. Once you get through the second one, there's a really long downhill, and it's going to take you right back into that false flat as you head back into town. And then you just get to repeat that section till you get back into town. Those first 5 miles I talked about with the rough roads. Well, it's the last 5 miles now that are going to be rough roads. So now you're tired, you're fatigued. Just be careful. If you drop a bottle at this point, it's not as big a deal as in the first 5 miles. When you're coming in to transition, there are some seams in the road. Stay left, not all the way left. Just don't ride the right-hand side. There's some seams there that your tire could get caught in. Just be careful on those, okay? So now you've come into T2, you take your bike, you jog back to your spot, put the bike up, put your running shoes on, take your helmet off, and now you're going to go for a run. This run is hot. It's full sun for the most part. You're going to go back where you just came in on the bike. You're going to go back that section for maybe a 1/4 mile, and then you're going to run along the river, out onto a highway, go for 2 miles. You're going to take a left into a parking lot. You're going to come back on what's like the Monon Trail, which is really just a part of their park system as you come back in along the river. But that first section, it's full sun. You're on a highway. It's 2 miles. Your only job in that section is to go light, easy, gentle. See what you've got. did you overbike? If you did, you're going to know that really fast. And you're going to have a long walk. Get your nutrition under control, get your hydration, enjoy, cheer people on, get to that place where you're coming back into on that MoNut trail, in that park system. Once you've gotten back in, you're now at about mile 4. You get to go across the bridge. This is an auto bridge, and there's cars going to go across. You're going to stay on the right side. Once you get across the other side, you make a little loop, a little right. You come back under the bridge, and now the pedestrian bridge, you're going to go back across. Both of those bridges have an incline to them. So depending on how you're feeling, some of you are going to run up that. You're going to try to power up that because that's who you are. Some of you are going to go, hey, I'm going to walk this part of the incline. And you're going to walk the part of the incline and jog again when you're ready. You're going to read your body, how much energy you have, what your best guess that you should be doing in terms of pacing. You can look down at your heart rate. If your heart rate's getting into the, out of that zone 2, it's getting really high, you're pushing too much this early. I mean, it's not going to be great. If it's super hot, super humid, and you're looking down, you're going a minute slower than what you thought you would be, even though it's not the same pace as if you run a half marathon by itself. Great. Go with it. Don't stress about it. Just realize that the heat and humidity is going to affect you, especially if you missed any of your nutrition, if you're behind at all, or if you overbiked. Okay. So just read it, see what's going on. Once you've done all that loop, that's obviously about 6.5 miles. You're halfway done. You get to go do that loop again. You come back in, and then you run down to the finish line. There is one hill just before you get to that first bridge. Okay, so you've run out the highway. You're on the way back. Before you get to the first bridge, that auto bridge I was just telling you about, there is about a 2-block incline it's nasty. It's an uphill. You've come out of the park system, you're back onto a road. It's about 2 blocks, and it's a pretty good hill. You'll notice it, you'll feel it. You're going to see a lot of people walking up that hill, depending on what's going on. Don't be afraid to walk up that hill, especially early on. If on the second lap you're feeling great and you want to push a little bit, do that on the second lap. See what happens. When you cross the line, you all know how to cross the line, right? You get those guns up, you get across. Don't check your watch until after you've gotten past the first timing chip. There's 2 timing mats in there. That there's going to be a camera on you. Get through the first one. When you get to the second mat, the camera is right above you right now. Now check your watch. You'll do that because you don't want a picture of you looking down, checking your watch at the finish line. Right? You want a picture of you looking happy, you looking successful. You've got those guns up. You're celebrating. You can go those extra 5 yards to get to that second timing mat because you're trained, you're fit, and because you want a good picture. Okay. So a lot of information covered today, a lot of things to think about as we're finishing up the taper, as we're entering packing, as we're thinking about our travel, and then just some general things that we'll try to do on race weekend together. And then think about your thoughts on race day. You all know your pacing. You all know what you have done. You all know what your nutrition should be like. You're going to do great. Okay. Any questions that you have for me, don't hesitate to reach out. Send me a text, email me, call me, whatever we need to do. It's going to be a great day. I'll talk to you soon.